Welcome to Gaia's Calling, where stories ignite your spirit and the earth whispers her secrets. I'm Brad Swift, a Right on Purpose author of eco-fiction and nonfiction, inviting you to become an eco-guardian. Together, let's explore the wonders of our world and take action to protect them. Listen closely. Gaia is calling. And Gaia's call today is Before Collapse, choosing to be part of the Great Turning. Or if you prefer, no more kid gloves, it's time to speak the truth. This is a special edition coming out before Friday because, well, I've been a part of some pretty amazing conversations, mainly with my listening, and so I wanted to share about them and in a kind of an integrated way that's still connected to the overall aim of this series, One Cause. So let's dig in. The time for soft words has passed. The fires in our mountains, here at home, by the way. The storms wrecking our coastlines, and also here in the mountains. The shrinking windows of food security and clean water. These aren't just warnings. They're symptoms of a planet pleading for our attention and loving care. They are the trembling voice of a living earth caught in a fever dream, asking us, even begging us to wake up. They are the consequences of a civilization built on the great lie, the great untruth, that we are separate from nature. That infinite growth is possible on a finite planet. That we can take without giving back and still survive. But we know better. And if we didn't before, we do now. As Dr. Rupert Read says in Truth to Action, the transformation the climate crisis requires, it's a powerful conversation hosted by the Way Forward Regenerative Conversations, we are already in the early stages of collapse. Not decades away, not something we can leave for the next generation. It's happening now. Read offers the chilling metaphor. If midnight is the point of no return, we are at 5 past midnight, which means the future we thought we had time to plan for is already changing underneath us. But here's a deeper truth. It's not too late for transformation. Not if we act, not if we speak. Not if we stop pretending and start choosing. And that begins by facing the truth, not with panic, but with love and courage. Because, as Reed reminds us, awareness alone isn't enough. A climate majority that understands the crisis, it doesn't guarantee will do what's necessary. Silence still dominates our public conversations, especially in communities like mine, communities of relative comfort and privilege, where the illusion of business as usual, still lingers in the air. I've come to see that silence, or failure to speak honestly with our neighbors, our children, our leaders, it isn't neutrality. It's complicity. And the cost of that silence is far too high. That's why I'm choosing, to act locally as well as here globally on Substack, to bring this conversation home in a way that's grounded in community and heart. One of the ways I'm doing that is through Earth Listening Circles. These are simple, powerful gatherings where we can pause the noise of everyday life and really listen to the earth, to each other, to what's shifting around and within us. And thank you, Pachamama Alliance, for giving me this opportunity to facilitate such circles. These circles are not about blame or shame. They're about courage, about feeling what's been buried, about grieving what we're losing, and rediscovering the agency we still have. There is space to make sense of this moment and to imagine what comes next. I'll be weaving in what I call the 4 great truths from the One Cause Project, especially the truths of interconnectedness and stewardship. Because the more we understand how deeply woven into nature we are, the more natural it becomes to care, to take responsibility, to begin again. In parallel, my wife, Anne, and I have been exploring what it means to respond to this moment and how we live. We've started to reimagine our home, not just as a shelter, but as a model, what we're calling a loving homestead, a small-scale, relational, resilient experiment in living more simply, regeneratively, and interdependently. We're still discerning what it will look like and who it may include, but we know this. Whether the global systems succeed or collapse, we'll need community. We'll need each other. And we'll need values strong enough to guide us when certainty falls away. The deeper question we're holding is, do we keep pretending the world will stay the same, or do we prepare body, heart, and soul for what's coming? To pretend is to choose the default path, the slow, grinding collapse of systems that cannot sustain themselves. To prepare, to respond with heart and intention, is to shape something different. A life of meaning, connection, and service, even if it's harder, even if it asks more of us, is the path of joy through truth. This moment also calls us to speak, especially to those we love. Read's words echo in my heart. There's still time to choose transformation before collapse, but the window is narrow. And that's not doom-mongering. That's love in action. And speaking it clearly with our children, our neighbors, our communities is one of the most radical acts we can commit. During another recent webinar hosted by the Alpine Chapel, titled How Do We Respond to the Times We're Living Through, I was shaken and stirred by a story shared by Andrew Harvey, one of the speakers. Harvey recalled a conversation between Winston Churchill and his granddaughter, Edwina Sandys. She had asked her grandfather what leadership looks like in impossible times. Boy, if anybody should know. Churchill replied that real leadership requires 4 things. 1, to face the extremity of the danger without illusion, false hope, or magical thinking. 2, to be brave enough to tell the truth, even if it costs you love or approval. 3, to call on others to draw on their deepest courage, wisdom, and joy. And 4, and perhaps most powerfully, to evoke a vision, an exalted goal, so compelling that people are willing to risk everything to help bring it forth, even if it may never be fully realized. That's what this moment demands of us. Not easy answers, but truth. Not perfection, but participation. Not guarantee, but love strong enough to move us anyway. Harvey went further, calling this moment not just a crisis, but a sacred opportunity, a dark night of the soul for our species, through which we might shed the false self of consumer culture and awaken something deeper, fiercer, and more aligned with life itself. He calls it becoming love's sacred warrior. And though his words are strong, they resonate with the clarity of someone who has lived through the fire. So, I return to the same question I asked at the beginning. It's a question I carry with me in each circle, each conversation, and every decision we make about our future. What does love ask of us now? It's not an easy question, but it might be the only one that matters. I invite you to sit with it, with your family, with your community, with your own heart. And then, when you're ready, join me, join us. Let's start waiting for permission to lead the change, because if not us, then who?